Welcome to Activation Nation podcast, where we talk all things business, mindset, momentum, and what it really takes to build the life that you love and want. I'm your host, Mindy Trimble, and if you are ready to get activated, you are in the right place today. I have exciting guests joining me today. I have Erin and Darin Greer out of Sioux Falls, and maybe you've heard their names, and maybe you haven't. I am absolutely thrilled to have them joining me today. They are fairly new to LifeVantage, and but have really made a huge impact and stamp since they have been here. So, Erin and Darin, thank you so much for joining me today and being here.
Well, thank you for having us. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, thanks.
Of course. Well, let's just start off with, tell us a little bit. You guys just joined LifeVantage in February of this year. So when I say fairly new, pretty new, you're just almost reaching that year mark here at LifeVantage, but have really had a lot of success and done some big things in that short amount of time. But tell us a little about yourselves and how you got started and what this journey has looked like so far for the both of you.
Sure. Well, I am a practicing physician. I do functional medicine now, but I've been in clinical medicine for over 20 years. I'm double board certified in internal medicine and nephrology. And, practiced that way for a good 20 years in the Western concept of writing prescriptions and managing symptoms with medications. And as a nephrologist, I had a lot of patients who were very sick and medically complicated, and I was not really helping them. They were moving on to dialysis or transplant or the grave, to be quite frank. And it became very dissatisfying to practice medicine that way because I wasn't really helping people.
Sure.
And so when I sort of learned about more natural ways to treat patients, I was really interested in that. And I was seeing a lot of the things that my colleagues were talking about as far as getting patients better at a cellular level, getting them, to enjoy and feel better and not just extend their life besides doing all the right things already, so they were getting them on different levels. And I really joined LifeVantage back in February because I wanted to help my patients feel better. I wanted to really make a difference. And a lot of them are seeking me out because of the natural therapies that I offer. I do a lot of things in my office, from ozone, hyperbarics, PRP, peptides, chelation, IV therapy. So it's quite different than what I used to do for the last 20 years. But about a year ago, my husband, who was a former airline captain, was very sick with a brain tumor, and he had a lot of complications because of that. The tumor was removed in September last fall, but he had developed complications like osteoporosis and weight gain and things like that. So a lot of those things resolved when he had that tumor removed, but because of the osteoporosis, he developed really bad discomfort and tightness in his right arm, and nothing was relieving his discomfort. And I'm fortunate that I have a lot of therapies in my office, but nothing was working. And ultimately, we asked the surgeon to do some surgery, hoping that, that would help. We unfortunately weren't getting any success with epidurals, and we even considered stem cell treatments outside of the country, but we were informed that this was not something that they could help us with. So this was kind of a Hail Mary or last ditch effort. I said, well, I've heard about LifeVantage and Protandim. Let's give it a try. What do we have to lose, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So
You've
we
been
were
through
desperate.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was to the point where he wasn't able to sit through a movie because of discomfort. He couldn't ride in the car because of the bouncing on the bouncing roads would make his discomfort so much worse. He'd have to pull over. He couldn't sit through a church service, and he would literally be in the fetal position on the floor. And when you're around somebody who's in such dire straits and discomfort, they're grumpy and grouchy, and they're really hard to be
It
around.
does Sad a little. Yeah, Darren's laughing now,
Yes.
but
Yeah. Yeah. And it's understandable, and so it wasn't
yes.
just affecting his quality of life, but as a whole family. I've got 2 teenage boys as well,
Yeah.
and so, we started these products back in February, and I discovered that he was not consistent at the time, and
I admit that I was not consistent.
he we got consistent and doubled up on some of the things, and the surgery that we had planned for June 2nd to replace that disc in his neck, the surgeon even told us, "Erin, I don't know that this is even gonna help."
Yeah.
He was willing to offer it, but we were desperate. We didn't know what other options we had, and
Mhm.
Erin had been through surgery already and didn't really wanna have it, and I'm not saying these things would replace surgery or medications or anything like that, but we literally were out of options, and so, he started these products, and within about 5 days, he noticed significant improvement in his symptoms, and then within about 3 weeks, he was able to ride in a car. I mean, we're talking bouncy roads too, and
Yeah.
sit
You live in a little bit of a rural area, right?
Yeah.
exactly, yeah,
Mhm.
so, he wasn't real you know, he didn't really believe that this would really help, and quite frankly, I didn't either. His issues were pretty significant, and I just saw what happened with him, and now I can't not tell people.
Yeah.
So, since then, I've been helping other patients too, and when you're so excited about something and you have that belief and you know that it helps any mammal with a heartbeat, you can't not tell people. I feel like I'm not a good doctor, and it's almost malpractice to not offer these things to people.
Mhm.
So
When you know about something and don't tell people or
exactly.
share it, it almost feels like you're lying, right? If you like and
Yeah,
that's
lying
for
by omission.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
lying to yeah, that's how I am too. I wanna, shout it from the rooftops because I have
Yeah.
no doubt that the products are
Have
what
really made a
yeah,
significant difference for you.
totally. Yep.
It's amazing.
yeah,
And you're able to do things, that maybe you haven't been able to because of something, and it affects your like you said, when somebody's grumpy and it is affecting their quality of life, it doesn't just affect theirs, it ends up affecting those around them. And when you've got kids and a spouse and that
right.
it sticks out and it, really affects a lot of people, and that's tough.
Yeah. And he
Mhm.
said, "I don't feel discomfort anymore. I'm back to my normal self." But I'm just thrilled that he's had sustained response, and I have my life back, I have my husband back, and life is good. Life is not perfect, but I would say it's probably 95% better than it ever was.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, what a huge shift and what an amazing, like, story and not just story, but you're living it.
Yeah,
You're living the results and the positive, things that have come out of trying something new that is helping and working, being consistent. Darren, I'm guessing that you're more consistent now than maybe at
Oh, yes.
first.
Well, I mean, like when I think a lot of people are like this, it's human nature. I've been trying so many things and I'm like, you don't want to have to take another pill. And
Yeah.
but yeah, when I got serious about it, it was literally night and day. So
Mhm.
and,
Awesome.
they don't teach us about oxidative stress in medical school. So
Mhm.
I didn't know about it until 2 years ago. So I feel like I'm trying to play catch up and educate patients and my colleagues about this. This is important, and it literally is revolutionary because we live in a toxic world and it's not getting any better.
Right. Yeah. There are so many things that are out that are affecting our overall health and wellness and just how we feel, right? Because there's just so much that we're taking in and being exposed to that most of the time we don't realize.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that are having not a positive effect on us.
Right.
So we need to replace some of that with some positive things that are helping. Yeah.
Exactly. And when you're doing all the right things, you still can't escape it all. So
Abs-
I feel like, I did my patients a disservice for the last 20 years because I didn't know about this. And, doctors are doctors and they think they know everything. And I admit I was probably one of those. But,
for sure.
I'm trying to educate my colleagues and one person at a time, but it's hard when it's just one me. And so, Darin is doing his job, and if we can get more people to know about this to help spread the word, we have a lot of people that need help.
Yeah. Well, and I want to just talk a little bit about that because you mentioned, and that Darin is helping you in his way doing that. What has that looked like? Because you're both professionals. You have, like, Erin, you've got a practice and working. Darin, you've mentioned that you own your own business.
Yes.
And so you're both busy working parents. You've also have 2 teenage boys, so you've got a lot going on. So what has that, as Erin, you mentioned that you got into this first, that this was something that you really were introduced to and got into first. And then Darin, you've been able to see some really positive results from the products and then starting to integrate together with the business side of things. What has that kind of looked like for the both of you, trying to integrate the business side and doing it together?
Well, I will tell you that it has evolved on my end because I really was just interested in getting my patients better. I didn't
Mhm.
have any idea about the business part of it. We don't get trained in business management in medical school, so that was kind of over my head.
Mhm.
But I wanted to help as many people as I could, and then it just kinda took off from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I would say, especially at the beginning, it was, let's call it 99.9% Erin, okay?
Mhm.
In her business, she sees, people throughout the day, patients, and then other coworkers or their family and whatever. So she does just see more people
And it
in
was just probably more natural and easy for her to talk about because that's a lot of the space that she was in already.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But as the months have gone by, just last month in particular, I stepped up my game, so to speak, and I wanted to. Um, I mean, I have all the faith in the world in well, what I take is the healthy glow, right? The protandim and the liquid collagen. So I have all the faith in the world in that, and so I try to tell as many people, whether it's at the auto parts store or throughout the day in my business.
Okay.
I have an aviation consulting business, so most of my stuff is done on the phone or
Yeah.
online. But I do interact, with people, and then obviously, my circle of influence, I try to expand as much as possible now, with the LifeVantage as the business aspect of it, and it helps me because I do have my story, and I can relate a direct story. There's everybody has all these anecdotal stories. Oh, my cousin's neighbor's nephew got better. Well, but when you can tell it from your own personal experience, it is more powerful, right? Or if it's at least, you're only 1 degree removed, um, I think it helps. It really does because you can speak with conviction and confidence in the product, and
Mhm.
that, you know to believe in something, it comes through in your conversation. There's no doubt.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that's
And I think
awesome.
another part of it is also asking questions. So,
Mhm.
somebody will hear Darren's story and they'll say, "Oh, well, I don't have his issues. Will
Right.
this even help
Yeah.
me?" So it's asking questions about, what other medical issues are going on or listening to what struggles they're going through, whether it's financial or work. And, LifeVantage has these opportunities for personal growth, business, owning a business. The community has been amazing, and that's the one thing that I did not expect that has
Mhm.
totally blown me away. You
Yeah.
know, the LifeVantage family is who's reaching out to us first when we're dealing with a crisis or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So that's I didn't expect that, and that's been the biggest blessing because we don't have family in Sioux Falls other than our immediate family, but we do now with LifeVantage, so that's been a huge blessing.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Well, tell me, so let's jump into, I have to mention this because
What is
it's, exciting and really cool.
oh,
You guys have, in the last few months, have seen a lot of success. Um, like what we've talked about just in your personal lives and health-wise, but also with your business. June, you qualified for the CEO meet and greet, which is so exciting. Get to come out here and meet our new CEO, Terrence Moorhead, which, by the way, he's amazing. You guys are going to have a
Heard
So
fantastic.
that.
we've heard that.
Yeah.
He is absolutely fantastic. And then also July earned the cash for convention. So I'm assuming you're for sure coming out to convention in
absolutely.
October.
Yep.
Already got our tickets.
Yep,
Our
be there.
airfare and hotel.
And so congrats.
Thank you.
What has that looked like the last couple of months? Are those things that you both specifically ran for and had in mind, or are they things that just kind of naturally happened because of what you were already doing? Like, kind of walk me through that. What has that looked like for you and with your business?
Let me jump in real quick. I
Yeah.
I think having the leadership and the support in both corporate and here in Sioux Falls is um, critical for us in the sense that it gives you um, the the I don't know what the term would be, the support, the foundation of seeing what works. And so we hear the word duplication all the time, and all these other words, but it's real. We don't have to invent the wheel here. It's proven concepts, proven techniques. you know um, and so, yeah, with let's just say the we call it Carl Cash, right? That's what Skylar, we met Skylar a couple of times. Love that guy. So yeah, it was something we worked for. I mean, and Erin, we're both pretty competitive. And so, yeah, it was like a challenge that we wanted to meet. We wanted it. And so, yeah, and then of course, we were out at Whistler, and seeing that excitement and seeing the challenges of almost not necessarily competition, well, it'd be friendly competition, right? When you're around your cross line and your down line and your up line, everyone
Mhm.
encourages, and yet it takes work. It's
Mhm.
not easy. It doesn't just fall in your lap. But
Yeah.
it's the challenge. And so now we're shooting for Cancun, and
I love that.
all the other things. So
But, I think we're just talking to people, and,
Mhm.
you have to be willing to be uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and so it's telling people your story and being around the community and the LifeVantage family with the events has been a huge amount of fuel for us too. So it's that amount of encouragement, and I'm just doing what I've been taught to do, and it works. And so when you do that and you're consistent, it adds up. I don't pay attention to how many customers I get or, who enrolls or whatever. I just keep talking to people and it happens. So it's natural, but it's
Mhm.
I work a busy job, Darin does too, and so you fit this into the, nooks and crannies of your life, and mornings or evenings or weekends, you just reach out to people. It's it's great to connect with people and to share what you have, and this has just been a true blessing. So I just do what I'm taught to do, and it works.
I love that. Well, and I think that too, I mean, I'm sure that everyone listening is sensing this because I definitely feel like I would imagine that everyone you talk to really feels your passion and belief in what you have learned and the experience that you have had the last 6, 7 months. And so I would imagine that that really comes through as you are talking to people and sharing that. So how Erin just kind of mentioned this, that, it can be uncomfortable. And I think that that tends to be a really big obstacle or roadblock for a lot of new people. How have you felt like, and I would guess too, being a physician, having a practice, it's probably something that it's easy in a way because you're already talking to people about health and wellness. That's like the platform of where you're at. But being a physician, I would imagine it's also can be a little bit of a difficult and maybe uncomfortable situation or conversation. because it's something a little bit outside of the norm that you might be mentioning or sharing. And so, how have you guys navigated that? And Darin, I think, for you, it's probably a very new conversation to be having with people. Maybe less of the business side, but more of the health side is more of that uncomfortable space. So, how have you guys kind of overcome that? And then also, with your new consultants coming in, helped them to feel comfortable in that space also?
Well, at work, I make recommendations to my patients all day long, and they can take it or leave it. And um, my my interest is their best interest, and so I I spend a lot of time on counseling for lifestyle. Foundationally, that's where it's got to start. And I've got some patients that will follow my recommendations, and those that don't. And you have to meet people where they are. And so, okay, if this is going to be too much, let's just start with this. And I am still working on improving my um the way I present the business aspect of it, because I'm a doctor, I prescribe medications and I recommend supplements and so forth. So that's where my forte is.
Mhm.
So I'm still working on perfecting the whole business part of it. But what has actually happened is the more opportunity meetings I do where I can present what the science does for people that can understand it,
Mhm.
that's really where it is. And then they say, "Okay, tell me more." And then we're, "Oh my goodness, how do I afford this?" Well, there's a business part of this too, where it can really change your life. And so those opportunities come up as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just to you kind of touched on a little bit with the, we see the opportunity meetings, the more events, the more meetings, whether it's Zooms or anything you can do. This is something we learned, you know, um, but
Early on.
yeah, early on, and it works, duplication and that type of thing. But then also, I guess, if I can add, just we don't give up on people, never give up on anybody. Even if it takes, like, enrolled some people just a couple weeks ago, that we'd been talking to and are friends of ours, for months, and now they're going to be on fire. We can tell, so you never know who you're gonna, become partners with and change their lives. And then it's just it's exponential eventually, right? It just, you change one person's life and then they change lives. And so that's the way, I really like to look at it, is it's not just a business. You really are making people, better versions of themselves and helping them make better versions of their friends.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I'm hearing, and, I would imagine the same with those that are listening, is the genuine, natural approach that both of you come at it with. And I think that makes such a huge difference. You know, you're both really, like Erin, you mentioned, not getting too attached. And so you're suggesting things and you're, making recommendations all day long in a lot of different ways. And then it really is up to the person
Yeah.
what they want to do with that, and not getting attached to that yes or no answer from those people, but just sharing your story, what you feel like is best from a professional standpoint, also of what you see and know about these products and different products that you're suggesting, and then kind of standing back and letting them make the decision.
Right. I mean, part of me is like, if I knew something that could help you, but I didn't tell you about it, that would that would make me kind of upset. And
Yeah.
so if some people are not interested, that's okay. Somebody else
Mhm.
will. So you just go on and keep doing what you're doing.
And I think too, such a perfect mindset to be in, because it gives you the opportunity to really share, to present what you know and what you have had success with and seen improvements with, but not getting attached to the outcome.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's a such a and I think that's where the feeling of the genuineness just really comes in, um, that you both portray. And so, No wonder you're having so much success. I'm feeling like, tell me more about what.
It's so much fun. I mean, I
It
look
is
forward to
fun.
this part of it.
It is fun, and the fellowship of our team and our sponsors upline is just it's such a blessing.
Yeah.
So
We
contagious.
we have
Right.
help. You're never in this alone,
Yeah.
and that's been great because you learn as you go, and I didn't know all this stuff at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, and this is coming out of the blue, so I'm really putting him on the spot here just so everyone knows. But what's next for you guys? What is like, do you guys have, I would imagine, some big goals for this year? You've already achieved so much, by the way, which is amazing. But what is closing out the year? You mentioned Cancun, which I love that. What are your goals for this year? And
Well,
Well, I mean, so we've had MC2 for 2 months now.
okay.
Like we said, we just got started the first week of February or so. It would be absolutely phenomenal to get executive by December 31st.
I love
Um, that's
Put it
a
out there in the
lofty goal.
universe, Erin. I like it.
Right. It's a lofty goal, but you got to shoot for the moon. But no, yeah, Cancun. I don't have any doubts that we're going to get the 75 points. But yeah, we want to get 150 points.
Yeah.
We want to go to Cancun. So
I think my motivation for getting what I want is working my regular job less and traveling more.
yeah,
And so how bad do I want it? What am I willing to do to get it?
Okay.
So, I mean, we're both hard workers, very focused and goal driven. I want more of the community and travel and the excitement and the fun that I've experienced the last 6 months. I just want more of that.
I mean, that does not sound bad at all to me. I like where you're both going with this. Well, thank you so much for being on here. And I think that we will continue to see more and more of both Erin and Darin, and I'm thrilled about that. I look forward to seeing you here in Salt Lake, meeting Terrence, and again in Salt Lake for convention. So I love the momentum. Keep doing all the things that you're doing. And I think that this will be really beneficial for so many of our listeners. So thank you so much for sharing your story and being willing to tell us a little bit about your start to all of this and just the growth that you've had. So
Yeah.
thank
Well,
you,
thank
Mindy.
you for having us.
yeah, of course. Thanks for joining. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. And we will see you on Activation Nation next week. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Activation Nation podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for future episodes and updates, and share with a friend or prospect that you think could benefit from today's conversation. Check the episode description for any links or disclaimers, and we'll see you next week for another episode. And now, the legal stuff. The sales earnings disclosed are potential gross earnings and do not account for expenses incurred in building a business. The average 12-month earnings of a typical U.S. consultant who earned in 2024 are $683. LifeVantage does not guarantee any income or rank success. A consultant's earnings will depend on individual diligence, work effort, and market conditions. Visit the LifeVantage Income Disclosure Statement for more information.